How's it going, guys? Today I got another Steinhart watch review for you guys. And for those of you who don't know, Steinhart it's a German brand, but they have Swiss-made components, and they're very popular for their Ocean 1 series of dive watches, which are very much homages to various Rolex models. And the watch I'm reviewing today is no different. It's this guy here, the Steinhart GMT Coke Bezel, and it's very much mimicking many aspects of a Rolex GMT Master. Now, in the past, I've reviewed other Steinhart Ocean ones. I had the red vintage one for a while. I'm going to throw that review in the link below. And again, if you guys enjoy this content, please subscribe and hit that like button. But I'm going to flip perspectives in a second, and I'll give you the detailed specs and my impressions of this GMT watch from Steinhart. Alright guys, if you've owned a Steinhart Ocean 1 in the past, then some of these specs I'm going to talk about are going to seem pretty familiar. So for this watch, you got the 42mm case. If you flip it to the side, the distance from lug tip to lug tip here is 50 millimeters. The thickness of this watch is coming in just under 13 millimeters, but it'll be slightly larger if you measure it at the pinnacle of that cyclops on the sapphire crystal. And then the lug opening here for this bracelet is 22 millimeters, but the bracelet itself tapers nicely down to 18. So what makes this Steinhart Ocean 1 different than the others? Well, obviously it's got the GMT function right here, so you have that extra GMT hand in red there. And to power this, you also have a slightly different Swiss movement. So most of a three-hander Ocean 1s come with the ETA 2824-2. This one comes with the ETA 2893-2, which allows you to independently move that GMT hand if you pull the crown up to the first position. And let me just confirm that here. Yeah, so this is the different movements that Steinhart offers, and you can see they checked off the 2893-2. With Steinhart, you get a really nice sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating applied to it. This dial is a matte black finish with white applied indices, and I do enjoy that the handset is also in white to match with the distinction of the red GMT. Now, I do enjoy that these indices have nice silver surrounds. It really does model the Rolex GMT Master in that sense. At the 3 o'clock, obviously you have a date aperture with the cyclops there. I'm not 100% sure what the magnification is, but if it's anything like Rolex, it's probably like 2.5 times magnification. All of the applied indices and handset have superluminova applied to them, or maybe it's BGW9, I'm not too sure. I'll throw up a lume shot though, so you can see how this works in the dark. I was slightly disappointed because I also thought that triangle at the 12 o'clock on the bezel was fulfilled with lume as well, but it's not. So you're only going to get luminescence on the dial itself and nowhere on the bezel. Unfortunately for me, like they've clearly just used the exact same bezel. They just changed the insert for their other Ocean 1 watches, because this bezel, it's 120 click, but it's unidirectional. And on a GMT, you would like it to be bidirectional. But the action is the same, about on par with other Ocean 1s. These turns are fairly tight, but very reassuring. And, you know, no real backplay or wobble whatsoever. And again, the insert here is aluminum, and you can kind of see how they split it up with black and red, which coins the nickname the Coke bezel right there. So let me unscrew the crown. I'll show you how this guy operates. With these ETA 2893 movements, I do find that they are much easier to wind than the ETA 2024s. I just mean there's like a lot less resistance. So if you pull this out to the first position, if you rotate this towards the 12 o'clock, you independently move that GMT hand. You can see that I'm just jumping the hours now. And then if you were to rotate the other way, that's your quick date set function here. And then if you pull this all the way out, you can see I've hacked the movement, and you can quickly adjust the time to whatever you want. And then rethreading, it's pretty straightforward. It threads nice. Really no issues with the crown. Let me flip it over and I'll talk about the case finishing. It's fairly standard. The crown is signed Steinhart with kind of a crown. I guess that's currently upside down there. You have just straight polish along the sides here, then a very small bevel, and transitioning to brushing on the hoods of the lugs here, and then you have an all brush bracelet. So I guess kind of something I want to point out, and this isn't good or bad per se, but like this case and the bracelet is exactly the same as the other Steinhart Ocean ones that I've owned. And I guess if I was going to critique it, maybe you could switch up just the design of each case slightly more. I know they have to cut costs somehow, but it's essentially everything's the same. They just cased the updated movement and GMT hand in pretty much the exact same shell and bracelet as the other Ocean 1 models. The bracelet itself, I do really enjoy this bracelet a lot. It's got a nice taper to it. It's an oyster style bracelet, purely brushed, with polishes along the flanks here. And then you just have really nice screws that make it easy to size, as well as at the clasp you have 4 micro adjust holes. So sizing this is pretty good. You do have your signed Steinhart fold over secure here at the clasp. You can see that this is nicely milled out. Again, this part of the clasp here, it's very thin. I wish they reinforced it more. It feels like the weakest point of a clasp in my opinion, but it does the job. And the case back again is the same as other Ocean 1 models. You got that warrior with a trident riding a seahorse, and then you have your basic Steinhart information. As you can see, very solid end links. And I think with the Coke bezel, this might also look good on different straps or leather options. And there's a wrist shot, guys. So again, it wears very comfortably on my just over 7¼ inch wrist. I think, with a 42mm case, that many different wrist sizes could wear this pretty comfortably. Okay, so let me just wrap up by talking about the pros and cons of this watch. Again, I think the pro is, you do get that Rolex GMT master feel with this watch, just like you kind of get that feel with other Ocean 1 models from Steinhart. So this is a good way or a good placeholder if you're, if you're just lusting after a Rolex but you can't afford one. Picking up one of these is a really good option, I would say. It's got good build quality. It's got the Swiss-made ETA movement. Robust bezel action. Nice looking dial. Everything is applied and very clean. And the price too, let's talk about the price. These usually come in with the conversion to around 700 Canadian, I think. And you can probably find it plus or minus $100 here and there on the gray market. So are there any negatives? Well, again, I mean, this isn't really a negative per se, but if you've owned other Steinharts, Ocean 1s in the past, this is going to feel very redundant with respect to the case and bracelet and fit. But you do get that added GMT complication for sure. The negative, I would also have to knock the bezel for basically being exactly the same and not being bidirectional. I really wish that they could have also applied lume to the triangle at the 12 on the bezel, just so it lines up really well with the lume on the applied indices. But overall, guys, like again, if you're looking for just a nice GMT and something that resembles a Rolex GMT Master, then you really can't go wrong picking up this Steinhart GMT Coke bezel. That's it for this review, guys, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video.